She waits for us in the deepest aquatic caverns near Lion Eye's watch, guarding the path to the forest encampment, and the man we truly seek to slaughter. She was the doom of many a hero, and is now the killer of many an exile. She is Merveil the Siren, the final boss of Path of Exile 1's opening act. Who is she? Why does she wander these caves? What, if anything, does she desire from the people of Wraeclast? This is RJ. Welcome to another Path of Exile video on Talkative Triceratops. In this video, we will delve into the abomination that is Merveil, from her tragic origin to her screeching demise. Enjoy. Merveil wasn't always a monster. In fact, she was a beauty of great renown and influence, a lady of the courts, a desirable partner for one of the greatest warriors alive at the time. Alas, he would be her catalyst of corruption. Young and wild, Merveil falls for the famous gladiator and adventurer Duresso, and he reciprocates. Mere days after their first meeting, the bold man proposes in a luscious garden at sunrise and presents to Merveil his greatest possession, the Star of Wraeclast. This pristine ruby gem was as large, if not larger, than a child's fist. Incredible. He had found it only recently, during a deep jungle adventure inland, but now it was Merveil's. Merveil accepts Duresso's proposal, and the two are love-struck. Merveil wanders the city for weeks after their fateful wedding, carrying the Star of Wraeclast everywhere she goes, refusing to take it off or let others touch it. For when another maiden attempts to grace the gem, Merveil lets out a deafening screech and swipes at the helpless maiden, ripping out one of her eyes. A woman of renown, the partner of the great Duresso, people try to move past this incident and make excuses for Merveil. But rumors mount, and Duresso, in shock, is unsure how to react to his wife's vicious act. He tries to remain by her side, but the horror builds. Merveil begins disappearing during night and arriving back in bed, scattered, disheveled, smelling of rot and decay. Her body starts to change, her attractive feminine form breaks, and she ages decades in weeks, becoming a ragged crone with terrifyingly long and sharp teeth. Merveil quickly transforms into a monster. Unable to keep his vow to her, Duresso abandons Merveil on a moonless night. The rage of the former beauty rocks their home and awakens the city, her screeches carrying endlessly into the darkness. She rushes from her home and takes to the sea below, slaughtering what she can and harming any who attempt to help her. And as she calls out to the sea for her lost husband, her scarred belly begins to grow. Merveil sings and sings and sings, wishing for Duresso to return. But he doesn't. In his place, she gives birth to a scaled, tentacled monstrosity, the first child of the Siren, another girl like Merveil. Alongside her spawn, she plunges into the depths of the seaside caves, the Star of Wraeclast still on her throat. In these depths, she births scores of these creatures, and they populate the Isle's coasts, attacking sailors, explorers, and always calling out for their father, gone at sea. They refuse to rest until he returns home. Merveil was obviously corrupted by the Star of Wraeclast, a virtue gem likely of the vow. It turned her into a thaumaturgical abomination. Like the experiments performed by Piety and High Templar Dominus on the poor exiles of Wraeclast, the mixture of virtue gem and mortal form always results in disaster, whether it be death or the transformation from a normal human into a horrific monster capable of unbridled destruction. We aren't as unaware as Merveil and Duresso, correct? We socket the gems into armor, weapons, certain rings, and... Oh no, stay away, talisman. Regardless of our awareness, Merveil haunts the caverns near Lion Eye's watch, spawning more daughters and killing any who try to steal her treasures or execute her monstrous children. She yearns to eat, to hope for Duresso's return, and to thrive in the dark with the star of Wraeclast, her precious red gem. But we, the Exile, cannot allow it. Eager to rid the Isle of the Siren's feasting once and for all, and ready to progress further inland, we slaughter our way through Merveil's caverns, listening to her sing about her lost love. We don't care. We know what she is. A monster. Like almost all creatures in Wraeclast, but she's a monster that needs killing. To save others. To move on. To grow in power. Hopefully wearing a few sapphire rings, we drop into her golden lair and battle her. She begins as a chilling, decrepit woman, slashing swords, calling down storms of ice and water, and launching shards of cold at us. Simple, really. But when we fell her human body, she lets out a wail unlike any other, and the chamber around us rumbles as she mutates into a true siren, a true creature of nightmare. Scales, tentacles, maw, and a new control over magic, she assaults us with booming screeches and chilling waves. Scores of her spawn roil around us, trying to protect their mother who only grieves for her lost love and tries to protect them and her virtue gem. But they are unable to swarm us, to defeat us. We slaughter them all and execute Merveil, putting the once lovely maiden to rest. And so ends the story of Merveil, a gorgeous human corrupted by nightmare and the taxing power of virtue gems. A lesson, it should be, to us exiles. Let these virtue gems too close to our true selves, to our bodies and emotions, and they shall inject nightmare into us. Turn us into spectacularly haunting monsters. That we cannot allow. Unless it turns us into werewolves. Path of Exile 2 and shape-shifting. When? That's the brief story of Merveil and Path of Exile. Let me know. Did you know any of this before watching this video? Or is everything new to you? I know some people don't pay attention to the lore of Path of Exile, but they should. At least a bit. This is RJ. Thanks for watching another Path of Exile video on Talkative Triceratops. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. You've stayed this long into the video. Well, time for an interesting tidbit. According to legend, when Duresso proposed to Merveil and offered her the star of Wraeclast that eventually drove them apart and doomed the woman to nightmare, he said this: "I offer you an eternal oath that binds your heart to mine, a bond that not even death will break. Will you accept?" Chilling and wrong.